Mom, Dad, this is the lady I want to marry.
It can never happen!
Mother, why can't I marry her? She's the one I want to spend my life with.
Because she's from a poor family, and we have nothing to do with poor people. I forbid you from seeing her again. You will not bring shame to this family.
You leave my house!
It's okay.
Nneka was only 14 when tragedy tore her world apart. Her parents owned a small factory where they worked day and night just to give her a better life. One terrible afternoon, fire swallowed the building. Thick black smoke covered the sky, while people screamed and ran for safety. Some escaped with injuries, but many never made it out alive. Nneka's parents were among those who died on the spot. The day the news reached her, she collapsed on the dusty ground outside her school gate. Her uniform was stained with tears as neighbors tried to comfort her, but nothing could fill the emptiness growing inside her chest. It felt as though her whole future had burned alongside her parents. Months passed, yet the pain never truly faded. Nneka had no relatives willing to care for her, so she struggled alone. During the day, she attended JSS3 classes with tired eyes and an empty stomach. After school, she hopped sachet water under the scorching Lagos sun. Her slippers were worn out, and her school bag had already begun tearing at the edges, but she refused to give up on education. One hot afternoon, she sat beside a closed shop, exhausted. Sweat covered her face, and only 2 sachets of water remained in her bowl. That was when a young man named Nneka walked toward her. He had just left a mechanic workshop after repairing his car. "Do you still have water?" he asked gently. Nneka nodded weakly and handed him the last 2 sachets. As Nneka looked at her closely, pity filled his heart. She was too young to look so broken. Her uniform was faded, and her eyes carried pain no child should know. "Have you eaten today?" he suddenly asked. "I'm fine," she whispered, even though hunger twisted inside her stomach. Nneka bought the water and gave her extra money, but Nneka quickly tried returning the balance. "You gave me too much," she said softly. "Keep it," he replied. For the first time in months, someone had looked at her like she mattered. The next day, Nneka returned to the mechanic workshop, hoping to see her again. He asked the mechanic if he knew the girl selling sachet water, but the man only scratched his head in confusion. "There are many girls selling water around here," the mechanic replied. "Which one exactly?" Nneka realized he had forgotten to ask her name. For an entire week, her face stayed in his mind. Then one morning, while driving out of his street, he spotted her again, balancing a bowl of sachet water on her head. He quickly parked beside her. "You," he called with relief. Nneka froze immediately. Fear filled her eyes. She had heard terrible stories about kidnappers pretending to be kind strangers. "What do you want from me?" she asked cautiously. "I'm not here to harm you," Nneka said calmly. "I only wanted to know your name." She hesitated for a long moment before answering quietly, "Nneka." The way she clutched her bowl tightly broke his heart. She looked like someone who had learned never to trust kindness. "I'll be late if I don't continue selling," she hurriedly said. "Can I have your number?" he asked. "I don't have a phone." There was an awkward silence before he finally smiled. "When can I see you again?" he asked. "Same time next week." "Then next week, we'll sit down and talk properly." For the first time in a long while, a small smile appeared on her face. As months passed, friendship blossomed between them. Nneka discovered how hardworking and intelligent Nneka was, despite her struggles. He paid her school fees and encouraged her to finish secondary school. Years later, love quietly grew between them. When Nneka finally introduced Nneka to his wealthy parents as the woman he wished to marry, his mother's face darkened immediately. "This poor girl," she scoffed. "She only wants your money." Nneka stood silently, humiliated. "She comes from nothing," the woman continued bitterly. "How can a girl who hawked water become part of this family?" Despite his mother's disapproval, Nneka refused to leave Nneka. They got married and moved into the large family house. But marriage became a daily battle for Nneka. Her mother-in-law mocked everything she did. If she cooked, the woman complained. If she cleaned, faults were still found. Nneka swallowed the pain quietly because she loved Ikenna deeply. After 1 year without pregnancy, the older woman became even crueler. "She is barren," she whispered loudly enough for neighbors to hear. Unknown to her, Nneka and Ikenna had both agreed to delay childbirth so they could enjoy their first year together peacefully. Soon after, Nneka became pregnant. Though her mother-in-law secretly felt relieved, pride refused to let her show kindness. 9 months later, Nneka gave birth to beautiful twin girls. Instead of joy, insults followed. "So, after everything, you only know how to give birth to girls," her mother-in-law snapped. Every night, Nneka cried silently into her pillow while her daughters slept beside her. Yet, Ikenna never abandoned her. "You are enough for me," he would whisper while wiping her tears. "Don't let anyone make you feel less." Years later, Nneka became pregnant again and gave birth to a baby boy. Her mother-in-law pretended not to care, but deep inside, happiness overflowed in her heart. For 6 months, she struggled to hide her desire to hold her grandson. Eventually, she began acting kindly toward the twin girls too, buying them snacks and asking them to sit beside her. Nneka grew suspicious. After years of cruelty, kindness felt unfamiliar. One quiet morning, the family sat in the living room watching a movie when Ikenna's mother suddenly walked in crying. To everyone's shock, she fell to her knees. "I have wronged all of you," she sobbed. "Nneka, forgive me." The twins stared in confusion, while little tears rolled down the old woman's cheeks. "I hated you because of your background," she continued painfully. "But you gave this family love, even when I gave you pain." Nneka's eyes filled with tears instantly. She rushed forward and lifted the older woman from the floor. "Mama," she cried, "I already forgave you a long time ago." The old woman hugged her tightly as years of bitterness melted away. For the first time since entering that house, Nneka truly felt accepted. And from that day onward, peace finally lived within their home. They all lived happily ever after.